So it's finally here, the budget build for demonic that you guys have been asking me for. And before we start, like we usually always do a checkup on what's best in slot and what's the usual build for demonic. So for demonic Shadowhunter, basically this is the Engraving setup. This is the best in slot. And the highest, like, this is the highest DPS setup. Crit spec with salvation and this that. And the problem is that there are just too many builds. You can actually argue what's better. Some people even prefer spec Swift with hallucination. Like there's too many builds for demonic and too many options. That's the one of the problem is that raid captain works, hitmaster works, curse doll works, keen blunt works. So you can't really like be like okay. I'm gonna decide and go with raid captain for budget options. Everything is expensive. So I have a unique budget build, but before I present it to you, I want you to do something. Try to get this build. This is the best budget build you can go for if you can afford it. Because even with this, it will still be expensive. And now let's get into the real deal, the real budget build. Because this one is gonna cost you only Fions, and we are going to do Dominion Demonic Shadow Hunter. And I'm not joking. So let me change the set, and I would basically remove Curse Doll, and the setup would be something like this. So it would be Awakening tree, Demonic tree, Adrenaline tree, Keen Blunt, Grudge tree. And obviously crit spec with Dominion, full Dominion by the way. And the logic behind it is that you would lose damage, obviously. This will deal 13% less damage than the best in slot with Salvation. However, you're going to gain 18% extra cooldown. So you're sacrificing damage for cooldowns. And that's basically what Spec Swift Shadow is. Like when you play Spec Swift with Hallucination, the damage is low and you only gain 10% movement speed, 10% attack speed, and 10% cooldown. However, I believe this one is better than the Spec Swift build. And the reason is simply because I think cooldown is more important than attack speed. So that depends on your preference as well. And by the way, that's the same logic applies to Spec Swift and Spec Crit Salvation and Spec Swift Hallucination. Crit Spec Salvation will always deal the highest amount of damage, so just remember that. So if you were planning to go for Spec Swift Hallucination, I would advise you to go Dominion instead, actually. But of course, some people would prefer to have the movement speed over basically the extra cooldowns. And you don't need to worry about the uptime of Dominion because Awakening level 3 would make your Awakening comes back on time, so you would never have a downtime on the Dominion set effect. And one crucial thing is that to use the Demonic Awakening. Do not use the other Awakening because you deal damage when you're in demon form. When you're out of form, you're just gathering a meter, so you don't care about damage at that point. So do not use the other Awakening. You would want to use the one that you can use in demonic form. Also now all that's left is a Trixion DPS test between the two budget builds. This time I'm not gonna compare it to basically the best in slot damage because sadly there is no build for demonic that will outperform the best in slot. So I'm just gonna compare the two budget options. The one that is known because I think every shadow knows Adrenaline 2 is good budget option, and the one I just showed you.